Hello my friends and welcome back to the rabbit hole. In today's video, I am reviewing the brand new Rare Beauty Liquid Foundation, that's the French name, Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation in the shade 170W. You are in for such a ride in today's video. You are going to see me be excited, upset, figure out solutions, change outfits a lot of times. And I'll have a whole bunch of timestamps for everything because I want you to watch only whatever it is that you want to watch. Because of that, I want to start off this video by making it incredibly clear what I think this foundation is and who I think it's for, because I do not think it is for everybody. I believe that this foundation is absolutely for combination to oily skin, maybe normal skin, dry-skinned people like myself, be warned. And this particular shade, 170W, I'm going to tell you right now, it is the most pale olive shade I've ever seen in my life. So that might be some incredible news if you're sitting here watching this thinking, yes, I do have very pale olive skin, and it's oily. But one final catch, I also think that this foundation is not medium coverage nor full coverage. I think it's best for light to medium coverage at the most. So let's start this video off with some basics about what this foundation is and what claims they make. So I'm sure you guys do know by now that Rare Beauty is a new brand sold at Sephora that is created by Selena Gomez. I was actually really excited about this brand because I do feel that it stood out to me. You know, this packaging right here, Selena Gomez made this so it could be easier to use, and it is. This packaging is incredibly easy to grip, easy to use, and it's very considerate for anybody who may have any type of disability or just any reason why applying foundation or makeup might be a little more difficult for that person. Very considerate, and I love to see that. So I was happy to buy this the day it released. I loved the idea, I loved the extensive shade range, I loved that this was made for supposedly all skin types. And these prices are not bad at all. $29 for an ounce of foundation at Sephora is amazing. So, you know, I looked at the ingredients up front. I like the ingredients list. There's no alcohol in here. There's no fragrance in here. There are some plant-based ingredients in here, so if you have allergies, make sure you check the packaging. However, overall, it looks really, really good. And it says on the box, a foundation elixir that feels barely there while building coverage and boosting your natural glow. So it sounds like it's going to be a little bit more of a natural finish type of foundation. As far as the details on the Sephora website, it says what it is: a weightless foundation with concentrated pigments that feels barely there while providing buildable medium to full coverage with a natural finish. I'm gonna break that down for you right now. They're claiming weightless, which is quite a claim, but to its credit, I do think that that is very accurate. I do feel like this was very light on my skin, and I could, for the most part, barely feel it for a while. But this idea of buildable medium to full coverage with a natural finish, I personally do not think you should build it up to full coverage, especially if you have dry skin. It just didn't really lend itself to a more full coverage, even more medium coverage finish. Finish natural, I do agree, it's not an overly matte in appearance foundation. Suggested usage, be sure to moisturize first. Take note of that. Take note of the fact that they say make sure you moisturize first. And then, of course, they try to get you to buy their primer, which I just wasn't interested in. I have a lot of primer. I have my favorite, so I thought I'd skip it. Shake up your foundation to make sure the pigments are evenly dispersed throughout. That is important. Dot onto cheeks, forehead, and chin. Blend with your fingers, our Liquid Touch foundation brush, or wet Liquid Touch multitasking sponge. So I used my Juno sponge. Figured we don't need to go and buy a whole bunch of new products here. Less is more, add a second layer only where needed. See, they're saying that in the how to use, which I feel like kind of tells you right there. It's slightly conflicting with the claim that this could be full coverage. If you're saying less is more, add a second layer only if needed, then why would you also say it's full coverage? A couple more things that you should know. This is cruelty-free, vegan, only lasts for 9 months after opening. That's a very short period of time in my opinion, but with it being a wand, I'm not mad about seeing the 9-month stamp. I'm not mad about that because that's not the most hygienic system out there. However, ideally, if you're not dragging it across open acne or open sores on your face. You shouldn't be overdoing the bacteria, and there should hypothetically be enough preservative in the product itself to prevent a severe bacterial overgrowth from happening. But I would agree, throw it out after 9 months. Let's talk about the shade range really quickly, and let's talk about the olive shade that I purchased. So first off with the shade range. The shade range on this is very confusing, in my opinion, as somebody who falls in the fair to light range. I noticed that there's not a single fair option. And up front I was worried. I was thinking, oh, 48 shades, but I don't think there's going to be one for me if it doesn't go to fair. Not true, not true. After looking at swatches from Trend Mood and I think some other swatches, I figured I was going to go for it. I figured I'm just going to trust that light means fair in rare beauty, and I'm not disappointed. Again, incredibly fair. And this is the shade 170. You don't expect 170 to be as light as this is. What I'm going to do is put up some swatches so you guys can see specifically 170W up against some of the other olive shades in my collection. You can see it's the lightest. You can absolutely see it's the lightest. Now 170W, it claims to be warm. It is warm. There isn't a neutral in this very light range, which is kind of a bummer. There are some neutral olive shades when we get into light medium. Maybe they can work for me, but I figured I'm just going to try this warm one. It hopefully is not too far off. And on the topic of oxidation, I just swatched this, so you may be able to see it kind of looks pretty peachy and neutral initially, but it seems to warm up through the day. So you guys are about to watch 2 wear tests in this video. The first wear test is going to be where I put a lot of product on, and the reason I did that is because I wanted to show you the shade. I wanted to make sure you could really get a good understanding of what 170W looks like on the skin. The second wear test is where I figure out not to wear this in any kind of a heavy way. So that's actually what you're looking at right now. I'm actually in the middle of the second wear test right now. And I tried to keep everything else pretty low-key today just to really focus on the foundation, but if you're curious about anything else that I am wearing, I will have it all in the description box below. So this portion of the video is where I'm going to be doing the application and the wear test. I have to admit to you guys, it always feels really weird filming this because I know that you know more about how I feel about this foundation than I currently do, because you talk to my future self. Meanwhile, I hope this goes extremely well because I am planning on having a great day today, and I hope this foundation agrees. So I did wear this foundation yesterday, but I didn't wear it with any primer, and I liked the way it wore everywhere on my face except for right here. It actually got kind of crumbly right around here. So I'm thinking I want to try this with 2 different primers. I'm going to use my Juno Moonshine primer, which is my default, and I'm also going to use the Nola Skin Essentials primer oil. So we'll do a split face comparison with different types of primers. This one is obviously the type of primer you'd want if you have really dry skin, and since I had that crumbliness, seems like a good idea. All right, so before I prime, a little bit, probably a lot, of the e.l.f. Soothing Oils with Neroli. And I do already have the Biossance sunscreen on. I did my skincare routine a little bit earlier. Oh, I still have some awkward gloss hanging on for dear life. And then a little bit of primer oil on the other side. Really want to make sure that I'm nice and hydrated where I had some issues yesterday. All right. Let's do it. So this is the shade one. Why am I about to tell you what shade this is? I'm sure I already told you all of this in the intro. I probably told you everything, so let's just apply it. Let's get to blending this out. One thing I do like about that type of applicator is it removes the step of needing a brush for me. Okay, rather than take another concealer, I'm going to put some of this on the back of my hand and dab a little bit more on the spots where I have some pimples. One thing I will say about this foundation is if you haven't blended a spot quickly enough, you have to go back in and reapply it. But otherwise it looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and put some powder on, clean up these brows. This is the Amaliwa powder. So this is my final form. I was thinking about doing the liquid blush, but I realized, you know what? Every person out there is going to be pairing this foundation with the liquid products in her line, so I'm not going to. Everything else on my face is just regular powder. I do need the hat because we're gonna go to the pool, which is why I'm actually in a top that is both a top and a swimsuit. You gotta be multi-purpose in life. Also, you've seen me wear this a lot because I pretty much quit buying clothes. All my clothes are old. I just can't afford to have beauty and clothing as hobbies. Ooh, beauty's expensive enough, let me tell you. All right, but let's see how we're looking so far. I feel like I kind of built this up a little heavier than maybe they intend, but I wanted to show you that it is a little warm. Obviously, it's 170W, not surprising, but it's a little warm against my skin, and yet the perfect depth, it really is. I wish they had come out with a neutral as well. I will see you guys through the day for some check-ins. Don't worry, we're not actually going to test if this is a waterproof foundation because I don't think it is, but what a great opportunity for a natural lighting check-in, right? Do you want to get in really close? Okay, too close, too close. I kind of feel like it's not sitting that well on my skin, which is a bit disappointing. Honestly, on both sides too. Do you see how it's kind of patchy? I don't know, man. Maybe this one's not for dry skin. Okay, I feel like it looks better from the normal distance at which you would actually approach people than the ridiculously up close personal space type of situation. Oh, where'd he go? There's such a cool bug, you have to see him. Look at that bug. What is he? Oh. Ew. He looks like a little walking helmet. Three-hour check-in. I am not sure about this foundation. So this right here, if you can see what's going on my forehead, this line, that's what was happening yesterday. It doesn't feel too bad there, it's just kind of looking bad. It actually feels great on my cheeks. It feels very lightweight. I don't feel like I'm wearing foundation. However, oh my goodness, around my eyes, it is so incredibly dry. My under eyes feel like they're being sucked. I'm making facial expressions. Oh, it's not. Nope. This e.l.f. oil spray is actually kind of saving me because it's the only thing that's giving me any relief because my under eyes feel so dry. I would also like to present you guys the inside of my hat. I don't think this is a very transfer-proof foundation. You see how much misting helps? It makes such a big difference. But yeah, I mean, I've also noticed it's kind of separating on both sides of my face. It seems I don't really see any difference between the side with the oil primer and the moonshine primer, maybe a little bit. It's not sitting too well in my pores. Guys, it's not actually going very well. I'm feeling quite disappointed. I hope I can give you guys a long wear test, but depending on how dry my under eyes feel, I might decide to cut this a little short. So please cross your fingers at home that everything somehow magically changes and this becomes much more dry skin friendly over the next few hours, and I'll check in with you then. I have made it a remarkable 5 hours, and I'm calling it quits. I feel like this foundation started fine. It was a little rough at an hour, it was more rough at 2 hours, 3 hours. Hour 4 is where it started to just feel dry across my entire face. So much so that it feels like I wiped an alcohol pad across my whole face. And it does not look good up close. It's definitely collecting in my pores. It's definitely sunken into any fine lines that I had. I definitely look older up close. with this foundation on, especially now, and I don't want to see how much worse it can get. Instead, I'm going to take all of this off and start over. Take 2. Just call me the squeaky door. For take 2, the second time doing my makeup in one day, we're going to be starting with my Ulta Youthful Glow Concealer with Hyaluronic Acid in the shade Fair Neutral. Y'all, I'm irritated. I'm really trying not to be irritated right now, but I am. This foundation really says, and I double-checked the website, it says for normal, dry, combination, and oily skin. Obviously, this is not for dry skin, and I just don't understand why so many brands make that claim. So many brands are out here saying, yeah, this is for every skin type. Why on earth would you not just say this is very clearly for oily skin, and if you've got oily skin, you're gonna love it? That would help the right audience to buy it instead of the completely wrong audience. Shake, shake, shake. Oh, my arm is jiggling. We're gonna go much lighter in coverage this time because I don't think that this is a foundation to build up. Should be good? What do you think? We gotta do the nose. It just does such a stinking disservice to everybody by not clearly describing what your product is, by acknowledging the limitations that for other people are benefits. I'm just so irritated because I could have done this the first time, except this isn't the way the product was sold to me. I bought a product that's supposed to be buildable for all skin types. The bottom line with this foundation is it's just like every other foundation in that it's got pros and cons. I'll do a brief wear test for you guys, probably not a very long one. I just want to see if it's going to start breaking up over the next hour or two in the same way it did before. So I'll see you in a little bit. I would like you guys to know I made it. I made it another 5 hours. And really all I can say is this is it. This is where it's at. I mean, this foundation over about a tablespoon of oil, man, it looks amazing. Do I have any final thoughts? I guess know that if you're wearing it light, you're not really gonna cover any acne scars. You can definitely still see my scars this way, but I mean, I think it's a really pretty finish. I actually really like it now. I'm pretty sure I've said everything else that I wanted to say, so I'm gonna wash this makeup off and go to bed. Do we need an outro? I don't think we do. People know if they want to subscribe, so, yeah, you do you. Thank you, regardless, for joining me today on this, very emotional journey, and I hope this video was helpful. See you guys next time.